Good evening. Kathy Beatty here with Divorce Support Anonymous. Thank you for joining me this evening. It's Friday Night Live for me to step into your life to give you some tips, tools, and techniques as you go through the trauma of divorce, not only going through divorce, but after divorce. Tonight's topic is more specific to divorce, but I do have resources and certainly coach people after going through divorce and how do they begin and transition into a new life. Actually, one of my favorite things to do because it is a world full of possibilities and potential, even though you may not see it right now, friend, as you are going through the trauma of divorce, but it's there, it's coming, and it does take intention. And that's why I work with you as you go through this process so you can get through it to the other side, to that beautiful life that God so desires to give to you after this very messy and traumatic transition of divorce. Tonight's topic is going to be about mediation tips going through going through a mediation. I realize that many of us have not had to stand up for ourselves to the extent in which we do as we're going through divorce. So I wanted just to give you some tips to help prepare you. And speaking of prepare, that is one of the very first topics that I'm going to cover tonight. Before you go into mediation, you must be prepared. Chances are you are working with an attorney who is preparing you, but there is also a way in which you can work on your own preparation, which is using this workbook, Seeing Your Attorney for the First Time. It is a free download, no cost. It is my gift to you because I so want to minimize the damage going through divorce. And this is one way, because when you can go in prepared, you are less panicked, less defensive, because you have a plan and you're walking into this mediation with business sense and you are ready to deal with this. So that workbook, I have passed out so many, and I'd love to get one in your hands if you are at the beginning of the process of divorce. So I mentioned that preparing is one of the first things that we must do. How do you prepare? Well, you work through the workbook, and then you're going to go probably and speak to your attorney for the first time, and he or she is going to prepare you in what you need to know about mediation. What I love about this workbook also is that it is going to talk to you about what to expect in mediation. So you won't go into it totally shocked or unprepared. You will be ready. Sorry, I'm getting some buzzes here, and I just want to make sure it wasn't a notice that something was going wrong with my broadcast here. So this is going to not only show you what to get ready, how to prepare to see your attorney and to go into mediation, it's going to give you some helpful ways in which you can expect to go into mediation, what you can expect when you go into mediation. You've never done this before. Chances are 99.9% of the time, you've never done something to this extent. It is so important because your life is going to change from this moment on, and these decisions are going to affect you the rest of your life. So you certainly do not want to go into it unprepared. So first of all, we've got to be prepared. And not only are you prepared, you need to be reciting and working through articulating what your plan is, especially if you are someone who's decided, I'm going through this mediation without my divorce. I'll contact a divorce afterward. I won't sign anything, but we'll come together. We'll work these things out. So if that's the case, you need an outside party, a divorce coach, or someone who's knowledgeable, perhaps it is an attorney, who you can recite and say, this is what I'm going after. This is what I'm thinking. Tell me if that's good. Now, you absolutely want someone who is very wise as you're doing this. You don't want just anyone, especially with someone who is an angry friend, because they know you've been hurt. And so they want you to go in there fighting. arm swinging. We don't want to do that in mediation. It only complicates things. It only costs thousands of dollars more. So that is one of the, oh, hey, Stephanie. You're so awesome. Stephanie's a life coach and just a really delightful person. And that's another avenue that you probably want to explore as you are going through after divorce, is getting someone who's going to coach you through what you're dealing with and what you're going through. So we mentioned recite it ahead of time, get speaking it out, listen to the logic of it. When you are talking it out, it really helps you. It formulates it clearer in your mind, and you are more ready and more prepared to go. Now, one of the items that I suggest in my workbook is 3 columns. You're going to get a piece of paper. There's one in there, but you can just get a piece of paper if you want, and you're going to put on 3 columns. In the first column, you're going to put what is really important that you keep and maintain. That may be the house, that may be the car, that may be the antique furniture, that may be a number of things. But they are those things that are vitally important to you. Maybe it's your retirement. That could be something. Maybe it's the cabin up north. What are those things that are vitally important to you? Does not mean that you're going to be able to keep everything in that first column, but it helps you have a clearer mind of what's important to you, instead of going into mediation, which you're nervous and people are throwing things at you and you're not sure how to value things, or what has the greatest value to you. So it's really important that you do that. The next column, what are those things that you're ambivalent about? That it's like, if I get to keep it, that's great. If I don't, I can replace it. It's really no big deal in the scheme of things. So the third column, what are those things that you really don't want? What is it that you don't want? You don't want the fishing boat, or you don't want the cabin up north. You don't want that. You want value from it. You're going to get value from it because it is marital property, but you don't want to keep it and have it in your possession. That is going to give you, okay, these are the things. I'm going to look at that third column, what these things are. What in this third column is really important to the other party? What's really important to them? And you may even want to do a 3-column sheet for the things that you know or you think you know are vitally important to the other person, just to kind of keep that all in perspective. But your own list, I know I'm getting a little complicated here, but the 3 columns of your list, that third list, these are things I know I don't want. I just don't want. They're a hassle. They're too much. I don't need them. I don't want them. So look at that line and say, are there things in that column that I know that he or she wants, that I can use as leverage for bartering, trading with what I really want was in that first column. Now, chances are both of you are going to have some of the same items on that first column. Well, we'll get into that in another time, but right now we're working on just preparing to go into mediation. And I want to prepare you. And that is one really important way. And you're going to take this list and you're going to recite the list too to someone, an outside person, a divorce coach, or a dear friend, a smart dear friend, someone who is very level-headed and very intelligent and does not have emotions in the mix, so that they can be objective. And you're going to recite to them, this is what I want to keep. This is why I want to keep it. And then you're going to attach values to those things, because if everything on your list equates more than 50-50 or 90% of the assets of the marriage, chances are it's not going to work that way. So attach some value to those items on your column. You don't have to get it specific, but get a general idea. Of course, if it's a home, then you're going to need an appraisal. Highly recommend an appraisal. But that's another deep topic we'll leave for another night. Tonight, I just want to get you prepared. So in doing that, this is just one of the tips that you're going to find in the workbook, Preparing to See Your Attorney for the First Time. That is going to help you get in your mind what is really important to me, what's worth fighting for. Now, I have had people, quite honestly, who have spent over $10,000 in legal fees for an item that's worth less than $5,000. So you don't want to do that. You do want to look at what's the cost? What cost am I willing to put out there to keep this? Now, if it's the children, it's priceless. You can't put a tag on that. But if it is those assets, then value them so you know. And keep in mind, you're also going to be sharing the debts. So, what are your debts? What are those credit card debts? Anything that happened during the marriage is considered marital debt and will need to be divided. So, many times, what happens is it comes out of the sale of the proceeds of the house, that debt's taken care of. That's just one option. I'm getting too deep because there's just so many avenues in which you go in mediation. And that's why it's important that you are prepared going in, because there are going to be things that are presented to you that you had not thought about, or he or she may come after something you never dreamed that they would. You just don't know going into mediation. So I want you to be prepared. A couple of other items: always speak the truth. That comes with numbers, everything. Put it all out on the table, because what happens is if you hide things back, it's found out later, the courts are going to null and void the agreement, and you're going to have to start over. You don't want to do that. So it's really important. That's just how you do business in life anyway, is you speak the truth, you put it out there. If the other party is hiding assets, and you think that they are, well, that's another topic for another time. But there are ways in which you can find documentation, and unless it's cash hidden away. But for you, I can't speak for what the other person's going to do. I can only speak to you, my audience tonight. Speak the truth. Put all that out there. Put it out there so you can, when you're done, realize, you know what? I had everything out there. I was honest. I have nothing to feel guilty about. I did my best business in this mediation. Secondly, be cooperative as possible. That doesn't mean you give in. It simply means that you are going to want to work together and do this together. Because if you don't, you're going to a court and the judge is going to look over your life on a few pieces of paper, hear a few words from the attorney or from you, and decide your future. You don't want that. So be cooperative. Be cooperative as you go through mediation. Bargain in good faith. That means you're honest, you're not bullying, you're not being stingy, you are bargaining in good faith. You're saying, you know what, this is equal to that, and therefore they're two identical items, pretty close to identical items in value. So yeah, it's okay. It's okay that we negotiate those. And lastly, speak up for yourself. So many of us are not aware of how to speak up for ourselves. That can be a skill. Of course, chances are you'll have the attorney in mediation, but maybe you decide not to do it without attorneys. You're going to need to be able to speak up for yourself. And if you need help with that, certainly myself, another divorce coach, can help you through this, or a good business person, maybe your financial person. Someone is going to help you, hopefully, be able to help you stand up for yourself. And this is not a time to be greedy, but it's also not a time just to give up and give in. I know it's hard work. I know it's painful work, but the results of this are going to last for the rest of your life. So you do have to be able to stand up for yourself, and stand up for yourself well. Just a couple of scriptures. Of course, I'm going to put those in there because we need wisdom desperately as we go through this process. A false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. You are going to be blessed because you are honest in this negotiation. You're going to have a clear mind and a clear heart afterward. You know what? I did my best. I didn't hide anything. I was not deceitful. And another life verse that I just love this verse, and I think it should be plastered everywhere throughout the universe, quite honestly. He has told you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God? That's what God asks of us to do. To love, to do justice, to love kindness, to walk humbly with your God. Love that verse. I hope that something in this conversation has been of help to you. Don't forget to reach out for this workbook, request it. I need your email address to send it to you so you can connect with me through the social media or through my website, divorcesupportanonymous.com. And I will gladly send this out to you just to help you get through this trauma of divorce. It's a useful tool and will save you literally thousands. So, with that, I will wish you all a wonderful weekend. Thank you for tuning in. And my name is Kathy Beatty, and I am here to step with you every step of the way through the trauma of divorce. Let me say that again. I am here to walk with you every step of the way through the trauma of divorce. Have a good evening.